everyone's always just searching for that one thing. Like, what's the one thing that's causing my acne? And I can just guarantee you right now, it's not one thing. It's never just one thing. You've got to look at your whole body as a whole. Today, I'm gonna go through the top 5 most common mistakes that I see on an acne healing journey. So by the end of this video, you're gonna know what 5 things not to do so you can actually start seeing some progress. Okay, so mistake number 1 is you may be over-focusing on skincare. And there's a few things that I mean when I say this. Now, the first thing might be that you are focusing so much on the topical that you're not going deep enough internally. For example, changing your cleanser isn't gonna fix your gut issues. If you've been trying all the skincare products, you've been changing up your routine and you're just not seeing the change you wanna see in your skin, it's time to start going deeper internally. Start investing that money into things like maybe functional testing. The last video that I posted actually be a really good video to go back and watch if you haven't watched it already, because we actually went through the functional tests I recommend if you are suffering with acne. But yeah, put your money maybe towards that, maybe even into seeing a practitioner who can look at you as a whole individual and see what maybe some of the root causes could be and the underlying imbalances are. When I say over focusing on skincare, it could also be maybe you are actually doing too much in your skincare. When it comes to acne, more is not more, okay? So particularly with actives, it's very tempting to be like, oh, I'll just put it on like every day, because you think, it might heal it quicker and get rid of it quicker, but actually it could be doing the opposite. Actives, they can be quite strong on the skin, and it's a couple of things we've got to consider. Sometimes the skin just can't handle it, so actually you end up fighting fire with fire and it just makes the skin more angry. But the other flip side as well, and I guess it's a similar thing actually, is that these actives can start to affect someone's skin barrier, and the dysfunction in the skin barrier can also then further contribute and worsen the outbreaks of acne. So you really want to be nurturing your skin barrier, so don't be overdoing it with the actives. I personally think actives no more than 2, max 3 times a week personally, and I try and get my clients onto a much more gentle, simple routine. I have plans actually to film my skincare routine, so that will come soon. In fact, actually my skincare routine is really low budget at the moment and I'm really loving my routine. My skin is loving it, so I'm really excited to share those products with you. Mistake number 2 is you are skipping drainage, right? I speak about drainage with like literally every client, even if they haven't got acne, because drainage is important for all of us. We need to make sure our drainage pathways are open and flowing optimally to have optimal health. As soon as we have stagnation in our drainage pathways, that is the environment for disease to grow. So when I say drainage pathways, we are thinking about things like your colon, so your bowel movements, okay, so gut and colon. We're thinking about liver and your bile flow. We're thinking about your lymphatic system, which is such an important system, by the way, particularly for acne. May I just add, just throw it in, because lymphatic system is the recycling system of the body. And if you have stagnation in your lymph, I see a lot of acne issues, particularly around the lymph node areas on the face. And even off the back of the lymphatic, we can say skin, right? So skin, lymphatic, we can kind of put together there. We've also got the kidneys, and urination. We've also got the lungs. Lungs always get forgotten about, but breathing, and having good, breath basically, and making sure that that's supported is also part of detoxification. And arguably, I also like to chuck in the cells as well. We need good cellular health to detox properly. And these things all need to be working optimally. And if there's any stagnation, then our skin, definitely, in the topic of today's video with acne, can absolutely feel the impact of that, because if things aren't getting out, right, by another way, it will push it to another. So drainage support is absolutely just foundational. If you are struggling with acne, it's like the first thing I would jump on, right? Make sure these things are open. Like if you've got constipation, that should be the first thing you want to correct, because if you are constipated and you're clearing through your bowels, your estrogen's not clearing properly, right? So if that's not clearing properly, it might, well, it's not even might, it will be reabsorbed, and then hello, we're starting to have hormonal issues, right? The liver as an organ, that is such an important hub. I mean, it has over 500 functions. You need that to help modulate and balance out your hormones, definitely, but you need it to also metabolize pretty much everything that you come into contact with throughout your day. So essentially the gist also is, if these things aren't functioning properly, it's also a massive massive root of inflammation. Like that's going to make the body much more inflammatory. So all of these things can 1000% trigger acne. So when I say skipping drainage, what I mean is you're not doing the lymphatic work. You're not doing the things that are supporting the movement of your lymphatic fluid. So the dry brushing, the moving your body daily. You know, if you work at a desk, you've got to make sure you have breaks and get away from that chair and just stand up. Even if you just stand on the spot and just do a couple of like jumping jacks, just get some, you know, fluid moving in the body. Some other things to think about with drainage, yeah, maybe you're constipated, maybe you have quite a high toxin burden, you know, with maybe what you're eating in your diet and maybe the types of products that you're using or like things that you're spraying in your home every day. Essentially, when it comes to drainage, it's just really making sure that you're adopting a diet and lifestyle that is supporting your detoxification systems to flow. Right, mistake number 3 actually follows on really nicely, which is over supplementation. You are just taking so many things, don't really know why you're taking them, and maybe you're taking them because you heard, oh, it worked for someone else. Oh, I heard apparently that helps get rid of acne. So you're taking all this stuff basically with your fingers crossed, like, please can this work? So it's just random supplementation, not targeted supplementation. And there is a huge difference. Supplements, they can also do the opposite effect. They can also sometimes make things worse. It's that whole saying, one person's medicine might be one person's poison. Like, I cannot emphasize how true that can be. If supplements were a one thing fits all, none of us would be suffering with acne. There would be an acne supplement that would exist, you would take it, and it would just cure. It's not the way health works. It's not the way the body works. We are all individual. So when it comes to supplements, we should be aiming for targeted supplementation that is unique to you and your body. My advice to anyone who just feels like they're in a situation where they are just playing a guessing game with supplements is stop spending your money on the supplements. Take all that money, because I tell you what, supplements and I'll add up in cost. Like the amount of money you probably have spent in supplements would be crazy number to look at probably. I would stop spending money on that and I'd put it into testing. That's my approach on it, because I think, you know, put it into testing. Don't take any supplements while you're doing that testing because you don't know what you need, right? Put it into testing, get some results back, and then base your supplements off the back of your results. And that is what we call targeted supplementation. I think the other thing also just to add in here as well is that supplements aren't always the answer. Like, a lot of people sometimes actually just want to jump to the supplements and think supplements are going to be the fix, but actually it's your foundations that need the work. So sometimes, you know, the true healing comes even when supplements aren't even included. Like, don't get me wrong, I love a good supplement. I think they're really helpful, but foundations, so your diet, your lifestyle, all the choices you're making there, they are always going to be the most impactful things on your health. Okay, mistake number 4. These are actually rolling off the back of each other quite nicely. This one is stressing too much actually over food. Now, what I mean, well, this one, I'm talking to the person who has reduced the processed foods in the diet. They have reduced all the inflammatory foods. They're trying to eat better, but they're now in this place where they're like really focused on their food and they're associating, I've had a breakout, what have I eaten? I'm talking to that person where you're at a point where you are just convinced that your food, something in your food is really triggering your skin and it's becoming kind of like a hyper focus. In my opinion and my perspective, food isn't the problem. Another really good example with this is sugar. You know, some people will say like if I go near even just a tiny bit of sugar, my skin freaks out. Well, that could be because maybe you have candida, maybe you have yeast, maybe your blood sugars are really unstable, maybe your minerals are out of balance and your cells can't control your insulin. Like, there's all of these different things you want to consider as to why the person is breaking out so rapidly to sugar. Like, don't get me wrong, yes, while you're figuring that out, you might want to keep the sugar down, do you know what I mean? Because you don't want to be dealing with the symptom, but the long-term goal here isn't to be like, right, that's it, I can't touch sugar for the rest of my life. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So yeah, it's about shifting your mindset a bit away just from the food, like individually, and more so focusing on the why. Like, why is my body reacting this way when I'm eating these certain things? I think this is such an important thing to talk about, because when you do become too hyper-focused on the food, this is what then starts to trigger those patterns of restriction, and that is a really slippery path to go down. I really understand, because I went down that path in my journey, and it took me a while, you know, to come out of it. So my big thing as a practitioner when I work with clients is to make sure we don't take them anywhere near those restrictive paths, because it is not the answer. And in fact, when you start going down those paths, it just makes things the opposite. It makes things worse. Right, mistake number 5 is not being patient enough when you try something new. Really good example to explain this is hormones. If you are trying to make positive changes, whether that be your diet, lifestyle, or supplements, to improve your hormonal health, and your marker of how well it's working is your menstrual cycle and like PMS symptoms, let's just say, really you need to be giving what you are doing like consistency for over 3 months, right? You may not even see the shift or see the change of what you're doing until 3 months time, because the lifespan of the egg is around 90 days. So what the egg that you are nurturing now, like say you start making changes, right, in your diet and lifestyle, you're taking a new supplement, you are then nurturing that egg that's going to ovulate in 90 days. So let's say you put all these things in place, but then your next period, you still have rage and PMS. That is not necessarily a reflection that what you're doing isn't working. It's just your body needs more time to adapt and change to the changes you're making, if that makes sense. Don't just give up if you haven't seen the results straight away, because you actually might be on the cusp of those results, and what you're doing is exactly what your body needs, but you've just got to give it that time to allow it to adapt and change. These symptoms you're experiencing did not come up overnight. Like, as much as they feel like they did not come up overnight. They would have started potentially years before you first, noticed or saw the symptom. How can we expect 10 years of subtle, slow dysfunction building up to then be healed in a month? Do you know what I mean? I think that's a really good way to look at it and kind of put things into perspective a little bit. Like, this type of healing, it just does take a little bit more time. So when you try a new plan, you've got to believe in it, definitely, but you've also got to really stick with it and be consistent and give it the time, also your body the time it deserves to respond before you start thinking, oh, this isn't working, and then searching for the next thing. So I want to know, have you made any of these mistakes? And be honest, because honestly, I'm looking at these thinking, I probably made all of these mistakes. If you found this video helpful and you enjoyed it, please do remember to hit that like button, because it really does help and support my channel so much. And in the next video, we're actually going to be looking at, well, I'm going to be answering really the question around, why have probiotics not worked for me? Probiotics are something that are very commonly recommended as a supplement and almost marketed like the answer to any gut issues. But the reality is, for some people, they don't either do anything or maybe even make things worse. So yeah, we're going to be talking about why probiotics just haven't been that miracle answer that you were promised. So if you are interested in that topic and you want to make sure you don't miss it, make sure you're subscribed, but also make sure you hit the little notification bell so you get notified when I post. Anyway guys, I hope you are well, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.